We're back on Yankees Hot Stove to talk about second base for the Yankees. We know that Robbie Cano left for that 10-year, $240 million deal with Seattle. And then in the wake of that, Omar Infante, who was on their radar, signed with Kansas City. Veteran Mark Ellis taking a one-year deal with the St. Louis Cardinals. So you take a look at the Yankees second baseman. Who's on second? Wait, isn't who's on first and what's on second? Anyway, these are the names. Kelly Johnson, Eduardo Nunez, Dean Anna, Corbin Joseph, Yamaiko Navarro, and Jose Pirela. So those are some names. Tyler, could it be as simple, amidst all the hue and cry, they got to get a second baseman, that it's on that list?
I think they have a second baseman. His name's Kelly Johnson. Now, he's not going to play there 150 games a year, but this is a guy who's had 125 starts at second base for 5 of the last 7 years. He can pull the ball. He can hit home runs at Yankee Stadium. He's an adequate fielder. You could do a lot worse than having Kelly Johnson there. He's going to strike out. Look, he's not a perfect player, but you can compare the offense the Yankees got, let's say, at catcher last year versus the offense they got at second base. Now, you know, they're a major upgrade at catcher with Brian McCann. Now they'll downgrade a little bit at second base, but I think Kelly Johnson, you put him there 120 games a year, that's not too bad, and it's certainly better than the offense they got last year at the catching position.
All right, Tyler's got him penciled in, Kelly Johnson, second base. Is he 100% right, Bob? Sip? What is he?
No, Tyler's mostly right. But remember, Kelly Johnson came to the Yankees with the idea of being a utility guy. He's this year's Kevin Youkilis. They were really thinking that Cano was going to stay. So he's not really the ideal second baseman, not every day. But you're right. If you can find other ways to fill in and keep him to about 130 games or so, he'll be okay. He won't hurt you. I mean, he's not going to help you. He's not going to be a star of the team, but he won't hurt you. I could live with it.
They have an option in Johnson, and I think Bob is right when you look at that landscape. Cano was the best offensive second baseman in baseball. They lost him. So whoever plays the position, there was going to be a downgrade on the Yankee side of things. But Johnson, we just showed the numbers. He definitely has the power. At Yankee Stadium, that power might blossom even more. You can get a situation where you platoon him or also have somebody ready defensively. Kelly Johnson is a guy who, if he's playing second base in the later innings, you don't want the ball going to him. You don't want him on the field if you can get him out of there. I think that's another thing the Yankees will look to do, because when you look at the landscape right now of who's left, there really aren't any full-time second baseman types out there on the free agent market that I think they're interested in.
All right, so do you have to go with a trade? I mean, they've already basically vetoed a Brett Gardner for Brandon Phillips trade.
Right. It shows you how much they value Gardner. I mean, we think of Phillips as an all-star, but, you know, you guys, we've talked about it all on the show before. Gardner gives them a lot. Now, you look at those guys. I mean, Darwin Barney, good with the glove, but he hits about as well as Pete Kozma with the Cardinals, and we saw how harmful that was to them. Danny Espinosa, a lot of flaws in his game. I think, you know, they definitely need somebody else, because really, like, you're right. I mean, they got Kelly Johnson. When they got him, they told him, look, you're going to need to be versatile. We're going to need some help at third base, obviously, right field. So he's going to play all around, but I still think he's the primary guy, and you'll fill in. You know, they can also put Brendan Ryan over there. You know, if Ryan's that great at shortstop, he can certainly play a little at second. Doesn't hit, but he's going to help you a lot in the field.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the gap between 130 games and 150 games for Kelly Johnson. I think he can definitely fit in there and give you, you know, that stopgap measure. I don't necessarily think that they're going to go outside the organization.
Yeah, listen, I don't think anybody's going to probably match the numbers of Cano, and defensively we know what a whiz he was. But, Jack, could I make the argument, Tyler sort of alluded to this, that if you've got more production from McCann, more production from, let's say, Ellsbury, more production from Mark Teixeira back at first base in the first base position, and then Beltran, whenever that's finalized, that there's going to be enough offense to go around to make up for the lack of offense at second.
You could easily make that point. Tyler already made it, and I think it's a great point, because the Yankees always exceeded with the offensive production they got out of second base. Cano allowed them to do that. There are very few second basemen who put up the numbers that they did. But you're right, you start going around the diamond. Let's just go with catcher and what McCann is going to give them and what they didn't get from Stewart and Romine last year. Already they're going to get much more offense from the catcher position. It's very sexy to talk about the Phillipses of the world and Gardner for Phillips. But, again, the Yankees really value Gardner, and as his name continues to come up, you have to remember that. You have to remember that the people making the decision in the organization really believe that Gardner, if you put him on the field and you put Phillips on the field, Gardner will give you more value, or at least as much value as Phillips would.
Right, and you think about patching it, okay? You know, you've got third base where they may or may not have A-Rod. Let's say they don't have A-Rod, okay? And you need someone at second. Well, that's 162 times 2. That's 324 starts you need. If you rotate that between Ryan, Johnson, and Eduardo Nunez in some combination between second and third, you know, throw Nunez at third for a while. Ryan, we know, can play both. Johnson can play both. That's not so bad. 100 starts from all three of those guys. You mix and match. You could do a lot worse than that.
You've been an advocate a little bit, too, of Mark Reynolds, right?
I think they're still talking. They're talking to Reynolds. I would definitely throw Reynolds' name in that mix, because then I think guys fall back a level to where they should be. We all think Nunez is more of a utility guy. Ryan the same way. I'm not sure you want Ryan starting 120 games or whatever like that, but I think you put Reynolds in the mix, and I liked what Reynolds did for the Yankees last season. The versatility between third and first. I thought he had a pretty live bat. Yeah, that's a live bat that's going to miss a lot of balls every once in a while, but when he runs into a ball, I mean, that's the power you want in your lineup.
Bob, you actually hit on the point that I wanted to make, that I think all things considered, the Yankees, who only scored 650 runs last year, it's the worst in almost 20 years, they are going to score more runs. They don't have to get that offense from second base. It's not a necessity. As long as they hold their own there, play some decent defense, I think Kelly Johnson, Brendan Ryan, I think you can patch it together, as we've been saying. Remember, the Yankees, in my opinion, are going to score a ton more runs. It's going to take a lot of pressure off that hole at second base.
Well, just for fun, let's take a look at the projected lineup for the 2014 season for the Yankees. It starts with, well, they have Gardner at the top with Ellsbury second, Beltran third, Teixeira, Soriano, McCann, Jeter, Johnson, and Ryan. Who put that together, Jack?
I wonder who is going to be the person in graphics that is going to tell Jeter he's batting seventh. That's what I want to know.
Wow.
We need a name, I think, is what we need.
I think to start the season, if that is their projected lineup, I think you'd probably have Ellsbury 1, Jeter 2, and Gardner 9. But, hey, this is a great talking point, because if Jeter comes in and does get off to a sluggish start, our graphics department might be right. Joe Girardi might have to have that discussion that says, hey, Derek, we like the combination of Ellsbury and Gardner at that speed at the top. You're not hitting Jeter third, fourth, or fifth, and all of a sudden he does go down. So maybe they're smarter than us.